Hello again, and welcome to Bluebeam Estimating with JPC. This week we're going to be talking about a new tool set that I created for AISC structural steel estimating. To create this tool set, the data that was used is from the most recent version, which is 16 of the database from AISC. So let's get started, and I'll show you what's part of the tool set for estimating structural steel there. So if I take out my tool set, so the first type that we have are our W-shaped beams, and you'll see that by default I've indicated which grade that we're using there. Second type are our M's, we have our S, we have our piling, we have our channels, our miscellaneous channels. We have our type equal leg angles, unequal legs. We have our WTs. We have our MTs, our SDs. For HSS, what I did is I created a different tool set for each of the profiles that we had, that we have in the AISC manual there. So what I did is I took the HSS, which was combining the HSOs, the HSRs, and the HSS all under one type. And to make it quicker for users to search what size they want, I just felt it was a lot quicker to break it out and just give the right sizes under the tool type. So in our HSOs, it's all of our circulars, our rounds. HSR are the rectangulars. HSS are our squares. We have our pipes. We have plate. We have bend plates for around the floors or roofing. And we have a few additional miscellaneous items like cambers, our MC preps, welded studs, roof frames, and roof drains. So just to remind you, if we start looking at the beam sizes, these are all color coded. So like I said in the previous demo that I did, each of the colors represent a grouping of members which are for cost per unit pricing. So this is another tool that's going to help you guys to price up your work there. So let's get started. So we're going to take off some beams here. So like I said before, what I like to do is normally start on the perimeter and do my girders and do the infill last. But here, since there's not much around the perimeter, what I'll do is I'm going to take off the infill beams, which are 21 at 44s there. So instead of having to search and pan through our drawing to try and find those 21 at 44s, what I like to do is I'm going to bring up my search panel and I'm going to type in 21 at 44s and I'm going to search them. So as you can see, it's giving me each of the members on my drawing, and if I click on it, it's going to bring me to where that member is. And so to take it off quickly, what I do is I'm going to select every member that Bluebeam gave me, and I'm going to use my count tool with my cloud locator. So this is basically putting a cloud around every 21 at 44 so that when I bring up my beam tool set, it makes it quicker for me to identify where those 21 at 44 are. It's a lot quicker than having to search them individually. So I'm going to get my 21 at 44. Let's put some wood here. I'm going to bring up my markup list so that you see what I'm doing. And we're going to take off that first beam there. So since we have multiples, like in your recent tool set, your tool gets saved on the recent tool set, and what happened, it keeps all of the properties. So the only thing you need to do is go and get it, and after that it allows you just to click on your members, that every place where you have a member which is the same size, same length. So here, okay, there's an offset with a beam line. So this is not the same length. So let's look up here. Are these the same length? Yeah, this is the same length. So I'm going to take those off. And back here, yeah, that's not the same length, so we're going to redo a 21 at 44. And like I said, these are multiples, so I like to get the tool or the copy that was saved under my recent tools. And as I was adding those beams, everything was being recorded under my markup list there. So this is the easy part of picking up the beams, and it's just a matter of pointing on each end and gathering the information which Bluebeam logs into your markup list down below there. So let's look at how we can use those different columns to change some of the properties on our steel there. So if we look, right now we had our 21 at 44, so we know that was taken off today. So depending on the user, it's going to be a different name right there. So you know who did the takeoff. Space will come back after. The page label, it gives you automatically on which page the member is coming from. We have our size, we have our color categories, which is for a group costing by weights. And after that, we said, so it's nice to know what type of member it is that we're fabricating, because obviously that's going to affect the time needed to fabricate a piece of steel there. So we know that what we took off are all beam infills. So you just need to change it there. But where Bluebeam is powerful is you're able to click. Say you need to do multiple changes. I'm just gonna get all those 21 at 44s that we took off. And if I bring up my property table, I'm able to change the properties on the fly there. So I'm going to say, okay, the member type that we took off were beam infills. So by changing the property in your property pane, it changes everything in your markup list. So let's keep on going, looking at the other columns that we're picking up the info on. Like here we have our type column. We have our beam size with the actual weight per foot. We have another column which is giving us the actual area in square feet per linear foot that we're using for that member size. These next two columns are for when we're taking off plate there. So if we go to our plate tool set and say we have an inch, 1 inch base plates, I won't scale nothing. I'm just going to take off a few plates to see how the information is being picked up down below. So as you notice down below, like each line is giving us, okay, this is a 1 inch plate that weighs 40 pounds per cubic feet. We have the area that we're going to be painting. It's based on 1 square feet, but it's actually going to take the actual square footage of your entry there. So don't worry about that one factor there. So we have our grade. The other thing which is nice is on our finish. Right now by default we're just using no paint there. But again, say we need to put everything galvanized, I'm just going to go and hit and get all the pieces which are going to be galvanized. I go to my property pane, and here's all the different types of coating that you have. And again, this is we're able to customize it and make it make a standard that you're using for your shop there. So let's say everything is galvanized. So again, just by one click, we change the finish type that we have for those members that we have selected. Um, let's keep on going. So in the AISC notes columns, what you have in there is additional fabrication that you would have to do on a beam there. So you might have to do some cambers or crank beams or MC preps. The beam might be a roll, or it's a sloping miter, a sweep. You have welded studs. So these are all additional notes that I feel that there should be additional allowances in terms of fabrication there. So let's say all of these members were all cambered. So again, I'm going to click on the beams which are cambered. I'm going to go in my notes and I'm going to say these beams are cambered. So boom, that's all noted on there. Assuming that the rest of those beams, here's the our slope, because sometimes you might have a pitch roof or a slope roof. So you have again multiple pitch that you're able to use there. So 0 and 12, obviously, beam is flat. There's no changes in length. But if I go and pick, say, those beams here and say, okay, these, I go to my properties, and I say the slope in these beams are 8 and 12. Well, the slope's going to change. Here's the horizontal measurement of 35 foot 11 and 5/8. And this is where the length is being factored by the pitch. So what was 3511 on flat is now 43.17 feet on a slope there. So it's easy. I mean, it's pretty simple on if you need to do change like some of the properties or some of the information on your takeoff there. Let's say that I told you guys that we would be back to the space column. So what this space does is if you want to allow sequences into your, or we could call it phases also there, into your job, you're able to take your material and combine it under one sequence here. So what I do for this is I go under my spaces. I'm going to add a space and I'm going to say, okay, this steel in my building is under sequence number 1. So when I click OK, what it does is Bluebeam is going to take all those members and assign it to, I'm just going to hit the space column, assign sequence number 1 to all of those members which were part of sequence number 1. So I need to do a sequence number 2, same thing. I'm going to add a square. Oh, sorry. So we're going to say this is our phase number 2. Or sequence number 2. We'll say OK. And now we have 2 different sequences. So when you hit your space column, it's going to change, like assign all the members to that sequence that you've picked there. So same thing with the color categories. If you want to see, say, all of your members, say my greens are for a category where the steel is from 31 pounds per foot to 60 pounds per foot. Well, here's all the members which are part of that category. And if you keep on scrolling, well, a different color means it's a different category. So if you do have to price up your work on a price per pound basis based on different categories, you're able to use your colors. Before I leave you guys, there's one thing I'm going to show you is like on these section views, you're able to take all of your drawings and for each of the section, hyperlink your section views there. So here I've done it before. So if we want to look at say section A on S5.1, I'm just going to click on that section. Oh, sorry. I'm going to go back to, okay, so A on S5.1. So the section is connected to your section view pages, and it brings you right into that section just by clicking on that section view there. If you want to go back to your previous page, just hit this back arrow, and it brings you back to your plan view. So again, if you want to look at this, it brings you to the right page. So this is section F. So we see all of our section F, how it's done there. So we back up if we want to go back to our plan view, and it only takes a few clicks there. And finally, before I leave you guys, like, I'm going to show you how quick it is to export your data. So I'm going to export it as a CSV format. And here my settings are all pre-done. So it's going to come out into an Excel grid. So I'm going to say OK. And it's just going to take a few seconds for the Excel sheet to open up. So here's the grid or the information exported. So I'm just going to widen up a few of the columns, and I'll show you all the data that we're picking up on. So column width, I'll say this is 12, and we'll make it wider. So basically, the export report is going to look like your markup list there. And from here, you're able to import this data into the software that you're using by mapping each of the columns that you need there. So right now I have it set up where I'm exporting pretty much all of the available columns, where when you go in to do your actual import, you'll be able to set up Bluebeams so that it only exports what you need, the columns that you're using to import into your fabrication software. So again, if you need to, you're able to manipulate these files or this information and do what's required on it. So again, for any questions, like I said, this is the AISC Toolsets for estimating structural steel. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to email me or give me a call there, and I'll see what I'm able to do for you guys there. So again, thanks for your time, and we'll be talking in our next tutorial or demo. Like I said, if you need to get a hold of me, John Porter Inc. at outlook.com, or even my cell 506-544-6072. Thank you, and have a nice weekend there. Thank you. Bye.